Alright folks, the 𝗟𝗧-𝗦-85 Premium Tier 8 Russian Light Tank. It is practically a PT-76 with a larger turret, housing a rifled 100mm, but this thing is amphibious, like with the PT-76 or BMP-1. It is pretty big for such a lightweight of a vehicle, only weighs about 15 tons or so. BMP weighs like 13-ish tons. Yeah, that is surprising. The same weight as an AMX-13, except it has a troop compartment in the back. Such a big paper tank of armor design, but it is a light tank with a big gun, and this thing has 2 spotlights on both sides of the gun, so googly eyes painted right here. That would be funny, but that is a PT-76. The Russians call it a floating tank, or plazhashi, however you pronounce that thing. It means floating tank, amphibious tank, in the 1950s, but replaced with the BMP-1 for troop compartment in the back, mechanized assault with infantry, or armor patrol, but that is also a big turret for the gun too. You could classify this thing as a medium tank, but they chose a light tank, so competing it with the LT-432, I think the LT-432 will win. That thing actually has armor. It's like a lightweight version of a T-72 or something. It's not a bad looking vehicle. I mean, we don't have dynamic water yet for the amphibious part of these vehicles. That would be interesting, but hopefully we get it. Hopefully. That is really like the back end of a PT-76 as well. Okay. Alright, let's take a look at the Supertest Stats. So it's a rifle, 100mm. Penetration is average for a tier 8, but you have more alpha to compensate. Shell velocity is alright. It is AP, high explosive anti-tank, and high explosive. 250mm pen for gold shell on a light tank is not bad. Usually it's about 230 or so. So pretty decent, but high explosive is high explosive. And DPM is kinda low, about 1600 or so. And aim time is obviously not great, and accuracy is also not great, but it's a big caliber gun with a lot of alpha behind it, so that's justified, question mark. 7 degrees of gun depression, 20 elevation, 40 rounds, crew of 3, so similar to the LT-432. You're missing a loader for vehicles like the T-54 lightweight or so, or the LTTB, but tier 10 doesn't have the loader, so no problem there. Only about 29 horsepower per ton ratio. That's kind of below average. Average is about 35 or so. So a little bit slower to rev up, but 65 kilometers per hour top speed, weighs about 24 tons. So this thing has more armor than the standard PT-76. 40 at the hull front, 80 at the turret front. Normally it's like what, 20 or 10? So all the armor now included with the weight. Alright, fine. Hit points is average. View range is actually average for a tier 8. It's not the best, but not the worst. Radio is standard. The only thing I'm worried about is the actual camo of this thing. It looks about the same size as a medium tank. So camouflage is actually 15.6. So about the same as a Indian Panzer or Panzer 58. The T-44s have about 16% or so camouflage. So not as good as actual medium tanks, but it is big, obviously. DPM is only 1650 for a 100% crew. 0.4 accuracy, 2.2 seconds of aim time. If it's close range, then you could hit without the accuracy part, but you don't have the armor for close range fighting unless it's like a S tank in terms of sloping on the upper plate. You could bounce a few shells. Definitely not as strong as the LT-432. That thing has like 70 for the hull front and 150-ish for the turret. It's also rounded. Alright, I mean, crew of 3 trains your Russian tank crews, I guess. That's so big of a light tank. Holy crap. Versatile light tank. There's only versatile or wheels, so there's no difference, but 40 rounds. Shell velocity is average. Gold shell pen is good, but shell velocity is a little bit slow. That's fine. I mean, compare this to the LT-432. LT-432 has better mobility in terms of revving up, horsepower per ton ratio. Just also better armor too. Not as big, better camo. The only upside to this vehicle is the gun. Definitely the gun. This thing has armor. 70 at the hull front. 160 for the rounded turret, and that turret is small. Insane. Yeah, with a turbocharger, I rev up to 37.5 horsepower per ton ratio. That is insane too. Holy crap. But yeah, this thing also has armor. It trolls a lot of the shots. So slope 70. If you angle it, that's 150-ish. Lower plate. Auto bounce. Rounded turret front. Yeah, there are aspects of 300mm effective to about 200, so it is rounded. But it's a small target. Compare this to a freaking troop transport of a light tank. Yeah, this thing is big. I mean, it's real big. Holy crap. You will still want something of a, I say, turbocharger for the equipment slot to help out with the 29 or so horsepower per ton ratio. 29 is not great for a tier 8 light tank. Usually you have about 30-ish, 35-ish. So let me see, light tanks at tier 8. They usually have, Bulldogs have only about 25. 30-ish, 30-ish, 35. Okay. I mean, German Bulldog is kind of slow to rev. 37. Holy crap. All with turbocharger, but obviously you have that ballpark, so it's a 100mm on the WZ-132, but I would say rammer too if you're focusing on the firepower of this thing. So it has the alpha. Maybe just DPM also kind of sucks too. Would you like a enhanced gunner sights for the accuracy? I doubt it. If you're close range fighting off other light tanks, then you probably just need the alpha to deal with the instant first shot damage and you run away. So you just trade shots. You'll win in terms of alpha damage, but the size of this thing is a big problem. Yeah, even if I don't have a rammer, I have 2000 DPM on the LT-432. It has better accuracy, better aim time, same gun depression. Not as good gun elevation, but whatever. Penetration is about the same, but obviously less alpha for the 85mm compared to 100. Yeah, I would say definitely turbocharger, optics, and likely rammer if you're aggressive. Or if you could focus on maybe just surviving, you could also put something else like camouflage, better camouflage. Even I have this thing to help out with the camouflage, but well, there's other aspects of being a light tank. You could play aggressive, but could you outbeat the spotting mechanics of a ELC EVN 90? I doubt it. So if you're not going to be a ELC, might as well deal more damage than the ELC. You play as a medium tank at that point. So if you're focusing on a different path for the light tank, then might as well choose rammer, right? Forget the camouflage. Yeah, the LT-432 has better base camo than this vehicle too. Yeah, so forget the spotting. Just do the damage. Play as a medium tank. Don't play as a light tank. So, okay. Go to field modifications. And it should be the same for all tier 8 light tanks. They don't have a speciality yet. So compared to wheels, or all light tanks have the same speciality. So better engine power or better top speed. Now for such a low quote-unquote horsepower per ton ratio, I would say better engine power. And this also helps out in city maps where you have to turn in sharp angles. Engine helps out a lot instead of top speed. Top speed is good for open field maps, but you're not really running around that fast compared to other light tanks, so might as well play as a medium tank at that point. Get with better horsepower per ton ratio. Accuracy or reload time. Now this one I would say reload time. You already have garbage accuracy, so might as well get worse accuracy just with more DPM. If you're fighting at close range, you just need more DPM. So accuracy, DPM both suck. Might as well go with better DPM, right? That's a toss-up. And finally, crew survivability from high explosive and other stuff, but worse reverse top speed. So going backwards a little bit slower. This thing goes backwards at 23. You could cut like 3 out of that. Especially if you put a turbocharger, that helps out with the top speed on both ends as well. I would say better survivability for the vehicle. You need it if you're being splashed by high explosive artillery shells. So how much would I rate this thing compared to LT-432? This is a very good assault aggressive light tank. You don't have to take a lot of the hits to know how good the armor is. This thing has such a good armor and such a small profile of a light tank. The PT-76 or LTS-85, it's a big vehicle. So you won't survive a lot of the shots to your side armor. Side armor is only 30. Yeah, you're not surviving. So might as well play as a pseudo medium tank or large light tank, right? So might as well. You don't have the health too if you're playing as a freaking. I would say still it has the horsepower per ton ratio to be maneuverable, but it is a very big niche of a light tank playstyle. So the king of tier 8 lights is obviously this thing. Such a good camouflage. You're not outspotting stuff like this. So might as well be aggressive. Might as well play as a medium. I would say 5 out of 10 for the rating. It doesn't seem that good compared to already existing premium light tanks, right? So we don't need a lot of premium light tanks, and usually they're a gateway to bad matchmaking. You have a very good light tank driver on one side and a just pay-to-play player who just bought his first light tank and playing with. There's only one spotter on both teams. If you die first, you are at a deficit for the entire team. The entire team is screwed. So light tanks is a very hard skill cap of a playstyle, but I would say 5 out of 10. I mean, if this thing has like what, 2,200 DPM, that would be something special, especially considering the size of it and the slowness of the horsepower per ton ratio, quote unquote, right? So if this thing has like 2,200 DPM, yeah, it's pretty good. It doesn't have to be a light tank. It's a medium tank at that point, but I would say 5 out of 10 for now. It's average. It's okay. You don't really need it. It's not really something special to have unless this thing could go into water. But usually when the vehicles like PT-76 or the BMP goes into water, they drive at like what, 5 miles per hour or 10? No, 10 is way too fast. Maybe 5 or 7. They're not going that fast in water. So it's whatever. Well, there you go, folks. The LTS-85. Practically a PT-76 with a bigger gun on steroids, but no troop like infantry to support you, so you need your team. And this thing is a medium tank. It's a medium tank. So 5 out of 10 for me, but let me know what you guys think about these vehicles. I don't think they're actually going to put the BMP-1. That is way too crazy. That thing has a rocket launcher. On top of the 73mm, it has a rocket launcher. Voice crack. So yeah, no BMP-1. 5 out of 10. Well, there you go, folks. As always, thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.